Business, a person's occupation, profession, or trade. Connection, a relationship in which a person or idea is linked or associated with something else. Welcome to Business Connection. Each week, our program will offer inspiration to navigate the business world. Information you can use to succeed in any field. And we will help you focus on your goals. Join us now for Business Connection with your host, B.C. Clark.
Hello and welcome to the Business Connection. I'm your host, B.C. Clark. As you know, I interview business owners across the state. Today, my guest is Beth Gregory. Beth, welcome to the show. And you can look at
Thank you so much for having me.
Good. Well, Beth, you know, we've known each other for a long time.
Yes.
And I think about the starting business journey and how, you know, all the things that we've done. But today I want to just talk to you a little bit about what you're doing. I haven't seen you for a long time. So what are you doing right now? How are you doing? How are the kids? You know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
So the kids are good. They are, my youngest is 12. They grow up so fast.
Yes, they do.
So fast. I have one that is graduating college this semester.
Oh my gosh.
About to have her second baby. So
it's all good.
It's all good.
Yes.
Big family is always so fun.
Yes,
and
it is. It
never
is.
a dull moment.
Never a dull moment. That's good. Well, I know that there were some things that you were doing earlier, and I think now you have like a podcast going on.
Yes.
So talk about that, because that sounds really interesting.
Yes, so last year I partnered with one of my business associates and we formed the Mic Drop Mentors. Okay. And we have the Mic Drop Mentor podcast launching soon. We are interviewing mostly women, a few men in business that are doing amazing things with their businesses, and they know that the lives that they touch are then creating like that ripple effect of good and change.
Yes.
So they're not just, you know, changing the business for that person, but they're also changing families and finances.
Changing lives. Yes, absolutely. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. I know, I think I was telling you this, that in the 90s, I think we started something called a BizCast, and I'm clearly we were before our time. And I can't remember the media that we was on at that time. But it was nice to talk into a mic and say whatever. I think we had a couple things that we were doing, and we did an e-book on networking, 8 Habits of Highly Effective Networkers or something like that. And I always think, you know, I wonder who's going to hear this, you know? And now there's podcasts are so popular today that just you know, it's amazing how things like that happen, and all of a sudden they go behind you and you think it's never going to come back, and then boom, it's here a different way. So how did you get into that? Let's talk a little bit about that, because I mean, you're kind of a serial entrepreneur where you know, you start things, you start a lot of things and you go through with them, and then you say, okay, I want to do something else, and everything is successful. So let's talk about some of those waves and curls that you move in. Your journey.
I think the greatest thing is like what is possible, and when we realize what is possible, we can move into that and find what's the best way to serve at the highest level. And that's really what I'm about, is helping other people. And the podcast really has been that. I was working for a major brand that had a very successful podcast, top 5 in the women in business space, and really got to see the impact of that and wanted to create that on you know, a bigger scale for the people that we serve that are heart-based entrepreneurs that are doing good things in the world, to be able to elevate more of those good stories. We hear too much negativity, and we need more good stories that are relatable, that are showing you what's possible in your life and able to, you know, raise up those people that are doing good.
Yes, and I think that's so important. And you made a good point there when you said, you know, a lot of times when people start businesses, entrepreneurs, they'll just start the business. I always say, I just kind of recommend them to get into that industry. So go and work for someone in that industry already, so that you know kind of what things are going on, and you'll learn tons for your own business. You'll find out what you want to do and what you don't want to do.
Right. And how you want to do it.
And how you want to do it. And that's important. That's key.
Yes.
So I really respect that you brought that up, because I'm always saying that all the time.
Well, you hear all the time, like, you can take your passion and make a business out of it. And some of that is true. But at the same time, we need to find out what the market is demanding. So there's this balance. It's like a choose your own adventure book, where yes, you can take your passion and make money with it, but what's the impact that you're creating, and what's the market demanding? What are the possibilities? So there's a bit of that dance going on. You know, what are you interested in versus what's the market demanding? So right now, podcasts are huge. There is so much opportunity there, and people are creating podcasts, and there's something called pod fade where they don't get past the 8th episode. So there's huge possibility for those that are really consistent, that are creating content on a regular basis, that are providing at a higher level for their audience. And people are listening to up to 70 podcasts a week regularly. They're consuming that content. And
because that's what people need. And that's, you know, that's another thing. What I run into a lot of times is business owners who are just starting out, they don't go and get information.
yes, they
Just
just
talk
jump
about
in.
that, but just, yeah, and a lot of times, a lot of the things that are going on are, you know, no cost, but invest in yourself too. So if there is a cost, go do it, especially if you need it,
Right.
because it's going to pay off in what you do.
The DIY thing became really popular, and the problem with that is that you're not sure which method is actually accurate or what they're teaching, if it's current and forward moving. So you can do it yourself, or you can find a mentor or consultant or coach that's already been there that can get you there quicker. So I'm all about investing in the information, investing in people that can see what I can't see,
Right.
that can help me move along faster to reach my goal.
Yes, and I think that's so wise, because when you know, I always tell people, you probably can't afford all the hats that goes with the business, especially if it's a brick and mortar. But what can you afford, and then what can you outsource?
Yes.
Because if the business needs all the hats and you have to have those, if you don't have those, the business is going to suffer. So you have to make a decision then, am I going full bull into this, or am I going to stay back here until I can afford to do the things I really want to do? And I think that's okay too. I think it's best to not jump into a whole lot of debt and all of that when you're trying to make something happen if you don't have all the information you need.
Correct. And
Because knowledge is power.
knowledge is power. And I'm all about working in your genius zone. If it is easier to hire somebody to build something for me and I can pay them, it's a better use of my time and resources than trying to learn a skill that I don't want to be proficient at anyhow. So it is about picking the right things to hire out team, and then finding the things that you can learn and be good at that you should own. And then really being able to focus on your genius zone, the thing that makes you shine and light up and, you know, brings in.
That's what really drives you, when you can move in that moment of where your passion lies, you know, where I call it the thrive zone for me. And I can tell when I'm in that zone. I mean, I really can. And it does lean to you knowing who you are, though. Right?
Right.
Knowing when to, when not to, and how to.
Right.
in that order. Because I know for me, when I'm in that zone, I'm telling you, I'm good. I'm really good in that zone.
Yes.
But you need to know when that zone is for you and how it works for you and when to move into it. You know, but if I'm not in, and one thing I don't like, I have to say that, you know, I was a programmer for a lot of years, but I never liked the weeds.
Right.
But what I learned being a programmer is that you have to understand the weeds.
Yes.
Even if you don't like to work on them. And so even if it's things that you, like some people don't like accounting, but if you want a business, you cannot just trust an accountant to do everything right in your business. You have to have some kind of ownership in that. I mean, learn some stuff. There's free classes all the time. Don't let somebody take advantage of you. I've seen too many businesses. And just to say, you know, because everybody is not honest.
Correct. You have to have a general understanding of every aspect of your business, even if it's not what you're implementing on a regular basis, so that you can hire the right people and know if they're doing a good job.
Right.
And you have to keep track of that.
Yes. Don't hire people who tell you, oh, you don't need to claim all your all the profits, but then they charge you more so that you pay less to the government. And then when you get ready to go for a loan, your business doesn't show that you made any money because you didn't file the whole thing. So let's not do that, please.
That's a mistake.
That's a big
Or
mistake.
if you want to buy a house and you've hidden all that income, that's terrible. I'm all about being above board, finding the line, and walking that line.
Walking that line. Exactly. Because those are horror stories, because when a person finds out and they question you, like, why can't I get this loan right now? And it's like, well, your business doesn't show that it's profitable. I made a lot of money last year, and for the last 2 years I made over $100,000. Taxes says $25,000.
Right, not on paper.
Yeah, and exactly. And so you have to have that on paper. You can't tell people that you made this kind of money and the paper doesn't show it.
Right.
Well, you know what happened for a couple of the clients that I know, they had to go back and have everything amended.
Oh, yes, and that's a nightmare.
And pay the taxes for what they didn't pay when they should have paid them.
Right, and that's
horrible.
It's horrible, and integrity
It's a good
is
lesson.
everything.
Integrity.
Everything. And
It's everything.
You have to hire people that are of the same moral level playing field.
Yes.
And bring in people that are honest and in line with your values and views.
And that's so important.
It is so
It
important.
is, because a lot of people are after money, and so they'll take it any way they can. And if they think that they can, you don't know anything about it, and they'll tell you, oh, you don't need to worry about this. Yeah, you do. You need to worry about it. Not worry about it, but if you don't trust that person that's doing it, then get somebody else that you know and that you trust. That's what I would say.
Exactly. Yes. And every person that you bring into your team and your business is a reflection of you and your leadership.
Exactly. Let them have the same, spirits, I would say, that you have, of wanting to get to the next level, be better, learn more, and do more. And not only that, but you want them to grow too, so that they can go off, maybe an offshoot, and start their own business. Because it's all about growing each other to do what they want to do. Yes. So we have to be willing to, as business owners, when we're hiring people, that we want to grow them. Yes. So that they can have, because they have a destiny too, right?
Right. We're not trying to keep them under us. We want to raise them up and allow them the freedom to make their own possibility and dreams.
And dream and become whatever they want to be. I think that's part of our job as a leader, as a boss, as whatever you want to call yourself, when you're leading people, is you want to grow them. You want to make sure that they have what they need to get to that next level. And watch them if you have to. You take on people, you mentor people. You do those things that, so they don't make the same mistakes you did. That way they can get further than you got faster. And that's what it's about. So let's talk about scaling. I always want to talk about this because everybody that comes into my office always say, I want to scale my business, and they've been in business a year.
Yes, so scaling has become like a buzzword, right? And you cannot scale until you have the proper foundations and you've really mastered the key components of business. Absolutely. And for most business owners, scaling doesn't actually fit in with their business model, their dreams, their plans. It's not something attainable. You can grow your business. You may not always be able to scale that business to the level that you've heard people say that they are. Because if they're a tech company, if they're a company that has some kind of app, they can scale that, right? But if you're a restaurant, you can become a great restaurant. You can become a premium restaurant. You can't scale it to, and maybe that's and I think that we need to look at different ways of scaling. I was going to say they can franchise, which is their version of scaling. Yes, absolutely. Yes. And I see people do that, and I think sometimes they want to do it too fast, because I've seen people start a business, that business is doing great, and then all of a sudden they open up another business, okay? Yes. Another one, so they got a second one going, and they're bragging, I got two now. Well, you know what? Is that place in the right location? Did you make enough here in case this doesn't work? You're not pulling from here to go here, because now you may have two struggling businesses. So it's so much that goes into that, and for me, I want people to take the time and get the information that they need so that they can be successful. And I think that's why I keep learning. I keep learning so I can have more to share. Same. Yeah, I love that. The more information, the more we learn, the more we apply it, then we bring others into that process so that they have a shorter time to success. To get to that, And I think that what happens is when people start to make a little bit of profit, all of a sudden they think that it's going to be there forever. Understand that
The only thing constant is change.
That
Okay.
is the truth. And we've learned that these last few years, is that being adaptable and
Flexible,
moving.
yes, and being able to pivot when you need to pivot. A lot of things came into play over the last couple of years, and almost 3 years, really.
Yes.
And I think that people forget early.
Yes.
You know, they forget, oh, the pandemic's over, I can do what I want to do now. It's not. People are still getting sick.
And it would really remind us of what is important.
Yes.
Right? So if you have a business that does not fulfill a need and solve a problem, you become obsolete really quickly.
And that's what happened during the pandemic.
Yes.
So many businesses became obsolete.
Yes.
And, you know, when we talk about that, even now I look back on those 2 years and I'm like, man, I mean, major companies
I know.
folded. I mean, we lost a lot of huge nationwide restaurants.
Yeah.
I think we lost more of those than we did of the small businesses. Small businesses were like, okay, so what do I do next?
Right.
You know, and you know, if they had a little bit of planning happening, they were able to pivot and do some things, and maybe they're not doing the same thing they were doing, but they're doing something similar, and that's thriving. I believe that every time that there is a crisis, opportunity is hidden in it. And I believe that over the 2 years that the pandemic happened, there were 24% more businesses started.
Because of innovation.
Absolutely. And if you don't have a crisis, sometimes things just go status quo.
Exactly.
So sometimes we need the interruption to make us think differently, to wake us up, because sometimes we're sleeping half the time.
Right. And I think we realized, like, I think it did so much good for us as families and businesses. We realized we didn't need to leave the house.
Yes,
We can spend time together. We didn't need to be in this hustle culture of, you know, driving from one thing to the next. Yes.
I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta do the other, come home, you eat some dinner, and then boom, you're out, you're so tired, and gotta get up. And I think it stopped a lot of that. And I think a lot of people realize, you know what, I don't need to work this hard.
Yes.
You know, I mean, okay, so we have kids at home. Husband says, you know what? Why don't I just work? Or the wife said, I make more money. Why don't I just work?
Right.
Why don't you take care of the house and the kids? And those roles switched. So we know that sometimes things happen and they may feel bad and we have all these things go on, but there is opportunity in every crisis. And I'm learning to look for those. But I remember one time, I think it was President Kennedy who said, he said in China, crisis had two meanings. One meant danger, and the other one meant opportunity. So it depends on how you see the crisis.
I agree.
You know, is it danger or is it opportunity?
And really that it goes to the mindset, and being an entrepreneur, your mindset is everything. Yeah. And we can determine how we receive all of the information, the crisis, the way that we take it and what we do with it. And I think that a lot of people think, oh, I have to be ready, or all these things have to be in place, or when I'm building my business, if something happens in the family, I stop or I take a break. And if you are building someone else's dream, for 40 years, you show up every single day for that business, whether you have a sick kid or you don't feel good. But I don't know why they have a hard time doing that for themselves and their business. It's like, yes, my kid is going to get sick. I'm going to have, someone in the hospital. These things happen day to day, and you still get up and you build your business every day.
You do. And I think that's the mindset you have to have.
You have
to. The other thing, I was talking to someone the other day, and they were saying that someone was saying about the perception that they had of them. And so as she was talking there, I thought to myself, you know what? I said, it's none of your business what somebody's perception of you is. And she said, huh? I said, it's none of your business. It's their perception. Why do you have to worry about that?
Right.
And she sat there for a moment and she was like, I never thought about it that way. I was like, well, let's start thinking about it that way. Because whatever that person's perception is their perception. Doesn't mean that's how you are. People see you as they want to see you.
Right. And it's a reflection of them, not of you.
Not of you, exactly. So I mean, I think about all these things, and I think in business, people tend to worry about what other people are saying about their business. And oftentimes I find myself saying more often, like, why do you care?
Yeah.
If you're serving your customers and they're happy and you're profitable and you're growing your business, Why do you care that someone else think that you're this, that, or the other?
And
it's not important.
It's not important.
Don't spend any time on that, and definitely don't lose no sleep over it.
Right.
Just gotta say.
And it prevents them from moving forward.
It
that
does.
fear, that imposter syndrome keeps them stuck when really
Yes.
at the end of the day, none of those things matter.
None of those things matter. So give us a tip. Give us a tip or two on just say, I want to do two things. One, for an entrepreneur who is just getting started, I'd like you to give them a couple tips. And then for that existing business owner who feel like maybe they're stuck right now.
Right. For the entrepreneur that's just getting started, develop a schedule and keep to it. Keep your commitments to yourself and your dream, and always keep your dream really at the forefront of why you're doing what you're doing. I think that that's super important. And remember the people's lives that you touch, because at the end of the day, your dream, you may give up on that, but you'll never give up on changing others' lives. So
Good
I think
stuff.
that's really important.
Yes.
For the business owner that is already established, innovate, learn, consume information, find out what is the next thing. We can't be stuck in what was working for the last couple years. We need to find what's working now and what is going to work not only for 6 months, but the next 2 years. We need to be always learning and growing and finding out what the market demands and what our customers need and want.
I love that. I love all of that. So here's what I got from what you just said, was that if we're an entrepreneur, know what your why is.
Yes.
Why are you doing this? Because if you don't have a why, why are you doing it, right? And the other thing was to, make sure you're setting goals.
Goals are important.
And following those goals. Being true to those goals.
And having a plan,
and
like your
Thank
schedule
you.
to reach your goals is everything, because at the
Yes.
end of the day, those time blocks can get away from you so fast.
Yes.
You let yourself have one day and then all of a sudden it's a week.
Yes.
So you get up every day, you get dressed, you shower, you get ready for the day, and you
Please
sit
shower.
down to work, right? That's what I tell every entrepreneur that's getting started is like, you get up every day just like you were going to work.
That's right. Because you are.
You are.
And you have to have that mindset. I am going to work, right?
Yes.
And it's not that, it's for me, so I don't have to. No, you're going to work, okay? Let's do that. Setting goals and the plan. And this is something I just want to say is that please take the time to research your industry and to gather that information so you can write your plan. You can't write it by sitting at a table thinking.
Nope.
And I've seen people do that over and over, and I'll say, I said, what's happening here? Oh, I'm trying to figure out how to write my business plan. I said, I think we need to go to school. Because you can't, if you don't know what to do, then you have to get the information so you can find out.
Yes.
So we have business plan workshops where
Yes.
we show you how to research information on your industry, how to collect that data. And then we show you the business plan components and telling you what goes where. So you have to have that information to get started. So don't fall short on yourself and your dream. Get the information you need from the right resources at the right time so that you can apply it and make informed decisions. And to those existing business owners, as Beth said earlier, what did you say? No.
Innovate, learn,
Innovate,
grow.
learn, continue to grow. And don't give up. And remember, if you're stuck right now, what is it that you need to do now? What steps can you take to move out of that stuck position? And sometimes it's just getting out, going to a networking event or going to a workshop. There's a book club coming up called Mind Your Business. It's a great book club. It's going to start in the beginning of November. Find out, just give me a call. I'm BC Clark with the Business Connection. My phone number is 402-763-0540. However, I really want to thank Beth for being here today.
Thank you.
Beth is amazing, and as you've heard today, she's done a lot of things, and so if you need help. Beth, tell us what's the name of your business, podcast, whatever?
Yes, it's Mic Drop Mentors. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram under that handle. And
it's Mike, M-I-C?
M-I-C,
Yes.
Mic Drop Mentors.
Mic Drop Mentors. I love it.
Yes.
I love that. And is there a phone number that they can go, or is it just an email?
You can send us a message
Send
there.
a message there.
Yep.
Okay, so go to Mic Drop Mentors.
Mentors. You can
Yes.
also find me on Facebook, Beth Gregory,
Beth Gregory.
and Instagram, Beth Gregory.
High energy, I can tell you that about her, and when you're talking to her, you're just totally inspired. Well, listen, this is the end of our show. Thanks again for being here, Beth. I appreciate you. And thank you for joining us today. So remember, find out the why, go after it, go do it, and don't let anyone sell you short. We'll talk to you next time.